Advanced English Arabic Learning Session 74. This article is excerpted from the preface of the last edition. To each his own. Where is my hubby? Use the local fishmonger instead of buying fish fingers from the freezer compartment. You are chubby girl. The plan backfired. It is the precursor of what may become a new niche in the travel industry. Overzealous publicity backfired on her. I was surrounded by mannequins displaying the newest collection. A car backfired in the road and shoppers ducked instinctively. The Emperor of China would employ castrated men as guards in his palace. After staying for a week, she felt she had worn out her welcome. The land would then be alienated to the private sector by tender. I don't wear out your welcome. He said, may I go to the bathroom? She answered, sure. He said, can I go to the bathroom? She answered, I don't know. I saw the photos and watched the TV. Are you pro-life or pro-choice? How did you pull it off? They nearly managed to get the loan but just failed to pull it off. The most popular tactic is to impeach the credibility of the victim. He pulled off a surprise victory in the semi-final. She talked to me into it. He's against the idea, but I think I can talk him into it. The salesman talked us into buying the car. He landed in hot water for an alleged V-sign to the fans. To be in the loop. Putting further pressure on our haulage industry. She wants to stay in the loop as these changes are being considered. Seth asks John to keep him in the loop / keep him informed about Marty's party. Richard Nixon strove to burnish his image for history more assiduously than any other former president. Male leaders are very often both strong and wrong. It's just a matter of using another clean cloth to buff the wax off. Admitting you're wrong means you're strong. The brain's circadian pacemaker which regulates our biological clock. Freckles sprinkled across her nose and northern cheeks. Hymen repair. Not all peripheral tissues are equal in circadian rhythmicity. It's Blair sent birds fluttering from the branches of the live oak that overhung the gate. The profusion of fallen timber raised fears of a catastrophic firestorm. Contraindications. Precautions. It is possible to intubate patients undergoing oral surgery in hospital. As we had no anesthetic machine, we couldn't intubate the animals. A tale of redemption and triumph over adversity. Intubation is a procedure that's used when you can't breathe on your own. The Republicans scapegoated gays to win the election. A decision was made to surgically debride the ulcer. Eardrum is a membrane of the middle ear that vibrates in response to sound waves. I have from my original plan. I do not wish to digress from the points that we are discussing. I do not want to digress too far on this subject. I shall digress for a moment to discuss the subject of fraud. Causes of cerebral embolism. Callippian means having well-shaped buttocks. What sounded like a stampede of wild rhinoceroses roused her from her sleep. The herd was fleeing back to the high land in a wild stampede. The nearby sheep stampeded as if they sensed impending danger. Burned the midnight oil. She was roused from a deep sleep by a hand on her shoulder. I had been on a wild goose chase this morning searching my keys. Police is apparently on a wild goose chase after he vanished into woods. The crowds were roused to fever pitch by the drama of the race. Hard to come by cheap flights. Something about the man aroused the guards' suspicions. I can rest easy, knowing everything's under control. Variances should be scrutinized for a number of successive periods. Individual variances should therefore not be looked at in isolation. I can rest easy knowing that she's safely home. The story is a mix of pulp fiction and Greek tragedy. After working all week, we had to scratch the itch to sit on the beach. The pilfering or wastage of materials may go unrecorded. Scratching may temporarily ease the itch. Basic errors are repeated time and again, despite fine words and earnest assurances to this committee. Walking feels way better than just standing. He should overcome his natural sloth and complacency. A sloth is actually a slow-moving, tree-dwelling mammal. Face the music. Don't get ahead of yourself. My shoes are pinching. The wedding will be conducted by the local vicar. The powers accorded to the head of state. He is vicar of a large rural parish. The vicar led the hymn singing. The headmistress informed us that the school would be closed for 3 days. Our headmistress was a real old battle-axe. This fact accords with results of previous studies. Party members should not follow their leader like sheep. It is 50 times more potent. Accruing 1,000 views in less than a day. He said he was counting sheep. She cancels the fashion parade at short notice and without justification. Please hear me out. Everyone needs time to unwind. Everyone is late. Migrants jostle for seats on a train to Germany. The decision to abandon the game became a no-brainer. Pelvic dilation. Pull yourself together. Every one of us have a unique identity. He bows to pressure to allow more Syrian refugees into Britain. The issue seems a no-brainer. Sausage fest, male party. Slim pickings. I am woked up. A usurious private lender. Dyed in the wool. Don't cry wolf, or when you're really in trouble, no one will believe you. Tattoos are a way to mark fond memories or express an artistic flair. Magnanimous person. The grantee sued the grantor upon his covenant to maintain the road. Every night I count sheep for a few minutes before I go to sleep. Taking that job over the one I had was a no-brainer. As the children has cried wolf too often, the parents has stopped taking its notice. Don't pay attention to Peter, he's only crying wolf. An attempt by the opposition to capitalize on the government's embarrassment. The secret nature of his work precluded official recognition. We have never betrayed the trust that you have reposed in us. Everything will be reminiscent of the old days of hang gliding. Opiates affect respiration and make increase in perspiration. The air was misty and a strong smell of fish stew pervaded the room. Weathercock is a weather vane in the form of a rooster. I compounded the problem by trying to make wrong things right. It is not always reasonable to ensure all possible precautions are taken. The cost or disruption caused to eliminate the danger far exceeds the risk of it occurring. The water mixed with oil on the factory floor, causing it to become very slippery. Sawdust was applied to the majority of the areas affected. The plaintiff slipped on one of the few areas that was not treated. Residential ipsa loquitur means the facts speak for themselves. An accident occurs by negligence. The court may apply this maxim to infer negligence from mere proof of the facts. The burden of proof is reversed and the defendant must prove that he was not negligent. There is a chain of events that are improbable. The loss was too remote from the negligence of the auditors. Standing ovation is a period of prolonged applause. He had been troubled by a left inguinal hernia in his lower abdomen. Doyle had a reasonably distinguished career as a sawbones. He booked a date with the sawbones to go under the knife and get it fixed. Vesting date and winding up of the trust upon vesting. Any person can hold property and sue and be sued. To indemnify the owner in the event of a loss. No indemnity will be given for loss of cash. The trust property is also referred to as the corpus or the subject matter of the trust. The uterine corpus and uterine cervix were all grossly unremarkable. The trust deed will usually define details of vesting. The organizer of the concert was £3,700 out of pocket after it was cancelled. A trustee can be reimbursed for out-of-pocket expenses. His mistake left us all out of pocket. If he loses the deal, he'll be badly out of pocket. The white-collar salaried professions, such as public administration and banking. Their speech and attitudes mark them as blue-collar guys. We know that you are a member of the resistance, or at least an associate. The men set off in fear and trepidation. The court is currently seized of custody applications. A couple of people with machetes or metal scaffolding poles. The financiers lacked the necessary political savvy. Industry veterans and savvy players who know the ropes. They had no legal capacity to approve misapprehension and misappropriation by the director. The most popular vehicle for business in the world is the corporate form. The key difference between partnerships and companies is the concept of separate legal personality. Airlines are very keen on their corporate identity. Urinalysis means analysis of urine by physical, chemical, and microscopical means. Hone your haggling skills in Tunisia's markets and bazaars. Immunocompromised means having an impaired immune system. The end. Coming next. Session 75.